Welcome to Metaphysics, My Perspective. This is going to be a video about Mars retrograde, all signs, and how it's going to affect all of you. So basically, Mars retrograde is not, it kind of comes in about every 2 years or so. And it, was worshipped by the Romans as the god of war. Some of you might be familiar with Aries as being the ruler of Mars. The Amazons are connected to Mars, and pretty much Mars deals with your passion. It deals with your sex drive, your anger, the color red, just a lot of different things. It also deals with iron is like, metal. So I have a theory myself, and I believe that people that eat or have like a lot of iron, especially when it comes to red meat, are more influenced by Mars, being that Mars is the ruler of that particular, metal. So it's going to retrograde basically from Sunday, October 30th, 2022 to January 12th, 2023. So just like with Mercury retrograde, it does have a shadow period, which we're not going to get into that, because just know that when it comes to the shadow period, you're going to have you're going to start feeling the energy a little bit before Sunday, the 30th or October 30th, and you're going to feel basically a little bit after that. But one of the most important things is just to be careful what you say to people during this period, because just like Mercury, it can bring up some of the internalized stuff that has been suppressed more often than not, especially in particular with this certain planet. It'll be aggression, anger, and fights breaking out due to what has been said or what has been suppressed, and now it's coming up, and etc. and whatever. So but anyway, I'll move on from the intro here and start on from Aries to Pisces. So thank you for watching. Have a good one. Okay, Taurus, this is going to be your reading for Mars retrograde, what to expect. I'm also going to pull a card for you after I get in explaining to you how this astrologically will impact your natal chart. So for you, Taurus, this is Taurus Sun and Taurus rising. Rising, or the ascendant sign, basically is just like your body type or how people perceive you when they first meet you. Normally I refer to it as it's the house of self. So whenever you're dealing with Taurus rising or any rising or ascendant sign, just know that that's their physical body, that's their self-image. That's usually how that's going to affect. So for Taurus suns, it's going to be in your second house of owning. So it's what you own, what you want to own, what you purchase. It could be saying at this time, to with it being in retrograde, do not allow Mars to make you go bankrupt or buy things that you don't need, because it can have an impulsive, Aryan energy towards you. So it could cause you to buy things that you see beautiful, or things that you want or that you're passionate about, especially when it comes to anything to do with war. Now, an example of war would be because of Mars dealing with iron and war and Romans, and how all that basically relates to one another. It could be video games. Like some of you Tauruses, you might be saving up to buy the new Call of Duty, or it might be a game. You might find yourself at this time being passionate about playing games from the past, being that retrograde is like stepping into a time machine. So when it basically retrogrades in that particular planet, you're going to have the energies of that planet, but you're also going to have the past of the planet, like things that you were once passionate about, or basically what Mars once influenced you. So if Mars was very influential to you back in the day, like in regards to video games or fighting games, I mean, some of you might find yourself playing Mike Tyson's Punch-Out or Metal Gear Solid, just kind of revamping that or bringing it to the forefront, or remembering things like that. Because it's Mars is retrograding in Gemini, even though it's in your second house, be cautious that a Gemini doesn't talk you out of stuff, or that you're not engaging or talking to a Gemini and they're saying, hey, you should buy this or you should buy that, and it's probably going to deal with any type of communication. So video games, online, that would be communication, microphones, cell phones. You could have an example is you could go somewhere to buy a new cell phone. The guy happens to be a Gemini. You may not know this, and he talks you into buying this expensive phone that you don't need, and because you want it, because you're passionate, you could be doing it very impulsive, which is an Aries energy. When it comes to when it comes to Taurus rising, basically, it could be anything to do with your body type. So it could be going to the gym. It could be communicating with people at the gym, getting back in the gym. It could be going to the gym or a group of people with Gemini. People that are Geminis because of the Mars in Gemini. It could actually be physically fighting with Geminis, siblings. It's basically going to have a lot to do with communication because it's going to be in Gemini, very mercurial energy. So, whatever the parts of the body that is ruled by Mars, you might want to take a look at that too, because for some of you older Taurus risings, it could affect you in that way. It could be, blood pressure rising. Mars deals with that, deals with the iron in your blood. Some of you that have sickle cell anemia or just anemia in general, it could come back in that way. It could be some type of illness or sickness that comes back. This is just basically an example of how it could affect you. It could also deal with fire. Like some of you could be firefighters. Some of you might have a lot of expensive, like earthly stuff that you like. You could lose that in a fire because Mars deals with the fire in Aries, fiery planet, red. I would be careful to watch what you say at this time. Be careful what you spend. When it comes to things that you're owning, some of you, being that we are in the Scorpio season right now, death and rebirth, for this particular month, you could lose things in a fire. So be careful with that as well. So hopefully not Taurus, but it's just one of those things to consider and think about. Okay, for Taurus Sun and Taurus Rising, the card I pull for you is Triumphant Success. So in traditional tarot, this deals with the Ace of Swords, which basically is new beginnings, new ideas. The sword deals with the air element. So it shows you that I'm on the right track in regards to this reading, because remember I told you Mars is in Gemini. So Gemini is an air planet. Swords represent ideas, the brain. But keep in mind it is a double-edged sword. So it's telling you this time, be careful with your ideas, be careful with your communication, because it can cut you as well as it can, help you. And it tells you that you can triumph in different areas of your life. So be careful, because this can attract haters, people that are jealous of you. It can cut through all the barriers in life, but if done constructively and with precision. So act with wisdom and do it carefully, like someone that's been trained to use like a pair of scissors, for example. And even though that seems, somebody would laugh and say that anybody has used scissors before. The fact is, just think of the difference between the person that picks it up the first time and the person that's used them for 20 years. There's different experience. Experience with everything matters. So, and just it's basically saying to be careful, don't be rash. Don't use this in a destructive way. It can be harmful to yourself and others. Hence the double-edged sword. So. It's a reminder to vanquish all negative thoughts from your mind at this time. With the, Mars and retrograde, things like that, it could cause you, again, to be impulsive and to act out and say things that are hasty to people. And, it'll allow you to strengthen your mind at this time and your thoughts. And, so just be careful with how you use your mental powers at this time. Be careful of being impulsive. And just use it, act from a place of wisdom, and you should be good. All right, thanks, Taurus. Moving on to Gemini.